here with Holly Lichtenfeld. She is an author and the founder of Bright Girls. You are such a great powerhouse woman. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. So tell us a little bit about Bright Girls and what is it?
So Bright Girls is a way that I teach, my mission is to teach girls about business and money so that they can envision themselves as entrepreneurs, CEOs, and business leaders.
I love that. And you wrote a book.
Yes.
Which is so exciting.
Thank you.
And throughout this book, these are the principles and things that you're teaching.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do was I went out in the market and saw if anything like this existed because I have a young girl and I would tell her stories at night and they would end up being about entrepreneurial characters. And I was like, I wonder if there's anything out there that teaches young girls about business and makes it fun and has activities. And I went out and looked and there wasn't anything like this. So I had the idea for a while and then I finally went ahead and did it and it was so much fun. And what happened is once I got the book out, I've been getting a lot of people contacting me asking me to do talks and workshops. So it's sort of building and building as I go.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And how did you, I mean, you had the idea, you wanted to do the book, and then, okay, now you have a book. How did that happen? How did you get the book published? What did you do?
So I started to sketch out how I was going to do this, how I was going to make it interesting for girls. So first what I did was I wanted to make sure I had a concept that worked. So I started writing the book and I started testing it with different girls and tweaking it as I went. And then once I had the idea down and really tested it out, I felt like it took a while to do that and get to where I had the book. It's a very long process to go find a publisher, and today publishers want you to have a huge following before they will publish with you. And I wanted to see if the idea had greater interest beyond just the group of girls I was testing it with. So I decided to do a Kickstarter campaign to fund it, and also to just use it as part of my research, where people interested in it could get people to back it. And so that was a great experience. So I ran that earlier this year and funded it successfully. And I printed the books and got those out to the Kickstarter backers, and now I've been selling it ever since.
That is awesome. So, okay, I want to get into Kickstarter, but before that, I love the idea that you were testing it with the girls. So, what does that mean? Were you writing a couple different chapters and giving them to different girls to read?
Yeah, so I started out writing about 25% of the book and giving it out, and then I got some really good feedback from the girls, and then I kept writing, and then I had activities in mind already. But then I saw from the girls what got them excited and how to add additional activities, what they wanted more of. And so it kind of just went from there. So it's very girl tested and girl approved.
Girl tested and girl approved. I love that. So let's talk about the Kickstarter process, because I know at some point it was like all the rage. Like everybody just go do a Kickstarter campaign and raise money. So walk us through, what did that look like? As far as like, how did you get started? What are some things that you ran into that maybe you didn't anticipate before you actually got into it?
Well, I'm a researcher and a planner. So what I did first was I'm also very into networking. And so I just reached out to a lot of people that I saw were either doing successful Kickstarter campaigns in my space or who maybe had a hard time. And I reached out to them, and that's one thing about Kickstarter, it's a community, and so people got back to me. And so I was able to really inform myself before I went. And so one of the big things, for example, which I don't know if a lot of people know this, but about most of the people I spoke to said that about 80% of their backers were people they knew.
Oh, wow.
And I think a lot of people think that Kickstarter is a great place to found money, money you're just going to find. And if you think about it, the way that the VC world works, a lot of times your first rounds of funding are friends and family. So this is kind of similar because it's your first step out there. And so that was a really good bit of information to have before, understanding that. And also Kickstarter doesn't really do anything to promote you. And so there are very few projects they pick to promote. And so it's a platform that you can use to collect money and put yourself out there. But you have to make a great video. You have to get it out there. So there's a lot to be learned, and there's a lot more in addition to that I learned, but those are some of the big takeaways.
Yeah, that's really important. I think it's funny. I feel like it's the same thing with social media. People think, oh, I'm just going to put this stuff out on social, and people are really going to gravitate towards it and get really excited about it. But they might not even have the right message in place. So
absolutely,
to have that,
it's very much like that. And the other thing that I saw was the people who were those few that are uber successful on their Kickstarter campaigns. A lot of them have this long tail of things they've been doing relevant to what their Kickstarter campaign is before. So they have the social media following. People, they've been out there doing some sort of meetings or events or whatever it is, where they have this long tail of followers. So by the time they do their thing on Kickstarter, they already have a ready group of people. So it kind of depends on where in the development of your project you do Kickstarter will present different challenges for you.
Got it. So how much money did you need to raise for the book?
So I raised $8,000. So it wasn't a big amount, but the smart way to do it is to not ask for too much. I actually had a lot of people from Kickstarter contacting me when I was up freaking out, saying, I just went up with mine. I see that you're doing well with yours. I only have, X number of backers or X number of money. What do I do? And so they suggest this, but I think if you're new to it, really not going higher or too high is a better way to go and be less stressful for the person who's doing it.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that would be really stressful when you start the campaign and you're like, what's happening? It's not moving up as quickly as I thought.
Yeah.
And especially now with so many more people trying to do these kinds of things.
Right. It's not really so much for your non-marketer or non-business person. You really have to have thought about it and pre-planned.
Awesome. So I love that you had an idea and you just took action and figured out a way to make it work. I think so oftentimes women just have this dream or this initiative they want to pursue and they just don't even talk about it and they just hide it and they really don't figure out a way to do it. So what was the driving force behind taking action and getting it done?
So I would say there were three things. One is quite honestly, reading the news, and I feel like with all the turmoil going on in the world, women end up getting hurt in so many ways. And a lot of that is because we don't have financial strength, and we don't have financial strength. And so I felt that if I started with the younger generation and got them the tools they needed, since I focus on both business and managing your personal finances, I could have a bigger impact and help women, girls as they grow up into women, do a better job of making sure that we take care of ourselves. So I was very driven by that. And then personally, the things that got me going was I actually read this book, Confidence Code, that another friend of mine had recommended. And my takeaway from that was, do it. Take action. And exactly to your point, we just don't. And I read the book, I put it down, and the next day I kicked things off in earnest. And I realized that this is a very involved business for me because I have to write the book. I'm always doing content. I had to be really committed to it, and it just all clicked for me that I was like, yes, I want to be spending my days doing this in and out. I felt very driven, and I'm taking these women's advice, and I'm just gonna do it.
That's awesome, and you've figured out what that next step is. I think that sometimes we get really overwhelmed with the idea. I mean, a book is a big idea.
Right.
It's, it takes a lot of work, and what that next step is, that little baby step. So for somebody out there, for a woman out there that's watching this, that's thinking, well, I have this great idea and I get it, I need to take action, but it's just so overwhelming. What information or feedback would you give to a woman that's really wanting to take action, but then she doesn't know where to start? Okay,
a couple of things. One is write out a 3 to 6 month plan. Don't look 5 years ahead. Write out your 3 to 6 month plan, actually make a to-do list, and if you can, chunk it down to by week, so you're crossing things off, because that sense of accomplishment is huge, and you can then change it every week depending on what you're finding. So I think that's really important, this idea of not making things overwhelming. 3 to 6 months out, then things you can accomplish. I read this thing that was very, very insightful that said, you're like, I'm going to go work out. I'm going to work out 3 hours a day. That's not going to happen. But maybe if you say I'm going to work out a half hour 4 times or 3 times a week, that will happen. So you approach this in the same way. And then the second thing that I did, which was enormously helpful, is I connected with a few other colleagues who were either going through reinventions, doing something new, or just people that I trusted. And I talk with them regularly. I have a few I talk to on a weekly basis and some that I talk to on a monthly basis. They give me ideas, they keep me going. That week where you're like, well, I don't know about this thing, they just pick you up and keep you going. And we do that for each other. And that, especially when you're working on a project at first by yourself, is very important.
That's so great. That's like a little mastermind group. Is this one-on-one or is this a group thing?
In this case, we've been doing one-on-ones, but I have another one I'm talking about, which looks like it's going to be more of a group.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that idea of just coming together, and masterminds are obviously very powerful, and a lot of people are involved with them,
Yes.
but just the idea of being surrounded by other people that can support you. And you said you love networking and are good at connecting different people together. So how has that helped you be successful?
Oh my gosh, in so many ways. So, and that's actually one of my focus areas. This is for girls age 8 to 12. My website goes up older, but the book is for 8 to 12. And I am starting to teach them about networking and understanding what it is.
That's awesome.
Because there's data out there that shows that women don't do as well at networking as men do. And again, if we can get girls doing this naturally when they're younger, then they'll just be out in the workplace and they'll just be doing it in the workforce and it'll be no big deal. So I try to teach girls how to do it, introduce them to the idea. And for me, it's helped me enormously. I mean, every day I use it. I actually just needed to add some content to one of my talks, and I needed an expert in a particular area, reached out to my network. Within an hour, I had the perfect contact. It's just in so many ways, and it's such a give and take, so I feel like I'm helping other people. You know, if you do it right, you're helping people who are junior to you, you're helping people who are senior to you, and you're helping your peers. And that karma just comes back, and if we can get that network ecosystem working, then it just really helps everybody in so many ways.
That's so awesome. So what's next for you? Are you going to write another book? What's kind of like a bigger vision for you?
Yes, so I have a series of books in mind. My next one that I've already jumped into is about teaching girls about personal finance. So that's in the works. I also am very excited about doing talks. I've started to do them with adults, how to empower the girlpreneur in your life. And I also do workshops with younger girls, just to get that entrepreneurial spirit kind of going. And I'm sure this will change as I go. I like to see what people are saying they need for themselves and for the girls in their lives, and so I'll just keep shifting it as people need it.
You must see some really exciting things happening with younger girls, because I know now, I mean, I watch these 7, 8, 12-year-old kids that are starting businesses. Like, you watch Shark Tank and you see some of the things it's fascinating to me. It's so exciting. So for them to have this kind of book and resource to learn this stuff very early on is so exciting. Is there someone that stands out in your mind, someone that was like really impressive to you that you've met?
There's a few. There's a young woman who started, actually she was 17 when she started, a company called Yellowberry, and her mission is to reinvent the underwear bra industry for girls. She went shopping with her little sister and was disgusted by how inappropriate the options were. And she launched on Kickstarter, and she actually now she's great at networking. She's a perfect example of that, and she has a partnership with American Eagle now. She's designed a collection.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so she's doing really well. And overall, my philosophy is there are those, middle schoolers, teenagers who have the time and the interest to do a real, business like that, and then want to continue it as they get older. But my philosophy is, if a girl will have a weekend where she wants to do a lemonade stand, or I have a whole thing on how you sell on eBay, you got to grab those moments, because what we're trying to do is, if a girl is busy with a million other things in her life, just capture those moments when she seems interested and have her get that excitement for that entrepreneurial spirit, so that whatever she ends up doing when she goes up, she'll have that experience and that good feeling.
Yeah. I love it. That is so awesome. Well, congratulations on the book and all the success. This is so exciting. And what last piece of advice do you give? Like, after one of your presentations, you're leaving, everyone's excited, they feel energized, they're empowered. What's kind of like your last message for them?
My big message I'm trying to think what my last message is. It's just to, I think, with parents with girls in their lives, or adults with girls in their lives, to just keep setting and pointing out good role models to them. That's a great, easy first step, to be mindful of that, so that they think about this as an option for them. Because I was working with a bunch of 9-year-olds, I asked them what the definition of entrepreneur was, and one of them knew what it was, and she said, it's a man who starts a business. And right there,
Oh,
I knew that what I
wow.
was doing was important.
Yeah.
And that's it. If we can just open up the mindset to say that this is an option for me and for other women and other girls, then that will have been a big success.
That is amazing. Well, thank you so much for all you do to help girls become entrepreneurs. Where can people find out more about you and get your book?
Thank you. My website's the best place to start. It's brightgirlscompany, all one word, .com.
Awesome. Well, Holly, thank you so much. You are an inspiration, so keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for everything.
Thanks for having me.